All right, I have watched the tape of 49ers Saints preseason week 2. I have a long list of notes. We're going to go through all of them. We also have some advanced stats from the game. By the way, Dominick Puni, this guy over the course of 2 games has been sensational for the 49ers. 30 more pass blocking snaps yesterday, and he only gave up 1 pressure. This coming off of his debut against Tennessee, 14 pass blocking snaps, no pressures allowed. So Puni, 44 snaps combined over 2 preseason games, only 1 pressure allowed. Jarrett Kingston on paper has been even better. That's the 49ers' 6th round pick along the offensive line. Jarrett Kingston yesterday had 40 snaps and 1 pressure allowed. So Jarrett Kingston, he's already over between his week 1 output. I think it was 21 snaps. He's at 61 snaps in pass protection, only 1 pressure allowed. You'll remember that I wrote a lot about the 49ers offensive line and the short shuttle metric that it really seems that they focused on when they were adding rookie linemen in this past draft class. And I think that this was a significant change in 49ers drafting strategy. This is the article. I wrote this back in May. Dominick Puni, Jarrett Kingston, and the 49ers O-line focus on the short shuttle. Now, short shuttle is how quickly it measures how quickly these offensive linemen can move from left to right. And I think that it correlates significantly with how well a offensive lineman can pass protect. Yesterday, there was a play in the red zone. I think Guy Haberman shared the tape of it shortly after it happened. But Colton McKivitz was struggling a bit on the right side, and Dominick Puni had nobody to block. But he very quickly was able to shuffle to his right, give a shove to the defensive end who was rushing against McKivitz, and then spin back around and help on the backside of that block. And the short shuttle is something that will measure an offensive lineman's ability to execute plays like that physically. And Dominick Puni, Jarrett Kingston, and the 49ers' other additions along the offensive line, including Drake Nugent, the center, the undrafted center out of Michigan, who got to play quite a bit yesterday down the stretch. They all scored really well in the short shuttle. And we know that the 49ers have struggled in pass protection over the course of essentially the whole Kyle Shanahan era. I think that there was a marked change in how they selected their offensive linemen this past draft cycle. And the short shuttle, I mean, the guys they picked, and I wrote about this in the article that you could check up on The Athletic. Let me find where the exact part of this was, because it was staggering to see how the short shuttle times for the 49ers ranked within the larger picture. Josh Norris right here. Underdog Fantasy's Josh Norris has studied various combine tests and their predictive power for any given player's chances in the league. Before the 2023 combine, Norris reported that just 28 offensive linemen had run short shuttle times of 4.47 seconds or faster at the combine, and that 24 of them had been drafted. Those 24 players, Norris found, went on to start 84% of their NFL games. Okay? So since Norris's initial study, the 2023 combine yielded just 1 lineman who ran the short shuttle in under 4.47 seconds, and the 2024 combine produced 6 such linemen, 2 of whom were Dominick Puni and Jarrett Kingston, drafted by the 49ers. So a great indicator of an offensive lineman succeeding in the NFL is a short shuttle time of under 4.47. There are 6 of those guys eligible to be drafted in 2024. The 49ers drafted 2 of them, Dominick Puni and Jarrett Kingston. And those 2, in their first 2 preseason games, Dominick Puni has had 44 pass blocking snaps, has only given up 1 pressure. And Jarrett Kingston has had 61 pass blocking snaps, has only given up 1 pressure. And I saw on tape that both of these guys are moving laterally extremely quickly. And that's been the key to better pass protection for the 49ers. It is possible that the 49ers, and by the way, Drake Nugent ran a 4.50 short shuttle And that's just above the cutoff, obviously, but still a really good time. And he's looked solid for the 49ers in these preseason games as well. Much better week 2 than week 1, where he had that costly false start penalty. Anyway, I mean, it's entirely possible, and it's still early, so you don't want to make conclusive statements yet, but it is entirely possible that the 49ers have rehauled their entire interior offensive line with one draft class. And it'd be ironic because it was one draft class that people complained about following the draft. Oh, they didn't draft offensive linemen I wanted. This is what people said. I wanted somebody in the first or second round, even though I know nothing about the intricate dynamics of offensive line play. And I just wanted to feel better that the 49ers used a high draft pick on a first or second rounder. Well, guess what? They used the third rounder and they used the sixth rounder. And these guys in a combined, 61 plus 44. We're going to test my math skills right off the top. That's 105, I believe, right? Yeah, 100. Out of 105 combined pass blocking reps, 2 pressures allowed for the guys that the 49ers drafted in the third or the sixth round. And they don't care about your feelings. They don't care that you wanted them to draft somebody in the first or second. They care that they got a couple good-looking football players in Dominick Puni and Jared Kingston. And that's my biggest stock up from this football game. And I think stock up for Drake Nugent as well. But by the way, Kingston's playing guard. He's played some tackle at training camp for the 49ers. Puni's playing at that right guard position. He is well on his way to starting at right guard and giving the 49ers a major boost at a spot that was the weakest on the offensive line last year. And one thing that I will add is that Colton McKivitz also struggled for the 49ers in pass protection at right tackle last season. If you put better right guard play next to him, he's going to be better. And the best example was that play that Guy Haberman showed where Puni is literally helping McKivitz. So the line is connected. It's not just a bunch of individual entities. There is cohesion that's needed for an offensive line to pass block well. And if you have a good right guard, it will help the right tackle. I think that Trent Williams has helped Aaron Banks at the left guard position. Banks is obviously going to be out until at least week 1 at this point with the broken pinky. So I think all hands need to be on deck for the 49ers. They were yesterday. I mean, Feliciano is currently out with the knee issue for San Francisco. Ben Barch has knee irritation as well. Jake Brendel's dealing with knee tendonitis. He played 7 snaps yesterday at the center position. So all hands need to be on deck for this interior line. And I think yesterday we saw some good play for Jared Kingston filling in. The only 49ers offensive lineman in this game yesterday to give up more than 1 pressure was Jalen Moore. In 30 snaps, Jalen Moore gave up 3 pressures, and he is the backup left tackle. So yes, Trent Williams can't be back soon enough for San Francisco. You get Trent on the left side. He's going to help make the left guard position better, as he has over his years with the 49ers. I think Dominick Puni at the right guard position, with how well he's pass protected. And by the way, the 1 pressure he's given up over the 44 snaps so far, that's coming off of 2 years with the Kansas not giving up a single sack at the D1 level. So Dominick Puni has shown every sign so far of being the real deal in pass protection for the 49ers. All right, everybody, welcome in. That's 8 minutes of offensive line talk to open the show. We've grown to over 300. Why don't we keep on growing past that? And why don't we talk about other 49ers risers and fallers yesterday? Late in the game, Tatum Bethune had quite the opportunity. Everybody's saying, well, yeah, he's not great in coverage, and I've said that many times before. There's a reason why he fell down to a 7th round draft pick for San Francisco coming out of Florida State. But the guy can hit. The guy's not afraid to hit. And I mean, his nose was in the backfield several times down the stretch of that game. I thought that Tatum Bethune popped off the screen. He was against the receiver for the Saints in coverage, and he gave up an intermediate pass. Big deal. Any linebacker that you put in coverage against a wide receiver is inherently going to be at a disadvantage. There are a few linebackers, you could probably count them on one hand in the league, who are going to be able to win that battle with the receiver, and they're certainly not going to be able to win it every single time. One of those guys is Fred Warner. I still remember him totally covering up CeeDee Lamb in that playoff game at Levi Stadium against the Cowboys a couple seasons ago, coming out of the slot. I mean, stuff like that makes Fred Warner special. You're not seeing every linebacker, and you're definitely not seeing most linebackers do that. So just because Tatum Bethune gave up a pass to a receiver in coverage, it's not a matchup that you want to have all the time as a defensive coordinator. So that's not something that you eliminate Tatum Bethune over. Is he going to make the football team? I'm not sure. I mean, it's going to be a crowded situation, but as a 7th-round pick, is he a potential value add for the practice squad? Hell yes. And I think the Tatum Bethune stock is up after yesterday's game. I wonder if I have the box score from yesterday. I don't know if I included this in my backpack. Yes, I did. Game book. Here we go. Box score. I don't take these as seriously for preseason games, and I like the advanced stats more anyway for regular season games, but I could see how many tackles Tatum Bethune had. And I could also open up the depth chart for you guys here to see what he's battling against at that linebacker position, because it is crowded. And the 49ers played Devondre Campbell yesterday, who's one of their projected starters. He didn't get much time, but he played at the start, and he had a nice tackle against Jamal Williams. Was playing top-down football, made sure Jamal Williams couldn't hit that first down marker on a 3rd down play. So I thought Devondre Campbell looked solid in his limited time for the 49ers, but I'm opening it up to the 49ers defensive stats just to see what Tatum Bethune's final line was. He led the team with 9 combined tackles yesterday, 6 solo tackles for San Francisco, 1 tackle for loss. So, I mean, when you look at rookie running backs, the rookie linebackers and running backs are the flip side of this coin, because preseason games allow them the chance to break tackles for the first time, but preseason games allow these linebackers to tackle for the first time. Tatum Bethune, you want them to be tackling machines, and Tatum Bethune turned into a tackling machine, the 49ers 7th-round pick out of Florida State. All right, I promise I would zoom in on these so those of you watching on your phone could have an easier time seeing what the situation is. 53-man roster projection. This right here, the guys pictured are the guys I project to make the team as of right now. So as you can see, Tatum Bethune's on the other side of the dividing line. Can he insert his name into this mix and make the team? Absolutely, he can. It will depend, I think, on what happens here over the course of the last week. I think that Jalen Graham yesterday, he got beaten in coverage by tight end. It wasn't a completion because the throw from, I think it was Jake Hayner was the quarterback at that point for the Saints. The throw was on the wrong shoulder of the tight end. I don't think that Jalen Graham has been particularly strong in coverage, but physically he's gotten even stronger. I think he came out as a really built guy out of Purdue last year, but he just ran over the running back on one of those blitzes yesterday that turned into a sack. I think that Jalen Graham and D. Winters, who was out with a little bruise in his knee, have both shown enough to make the 49ers 53-man roster. They like both of these young linebackers. And somebody like Demetrius Flanagan-Foles, he is the old guard, the higher floor special teams guy that, somebody like Tatum Bethune can try to unseat. And if they like enough from Bethune to unseat Demetrius Flanagan-Foles, well, that might happen. Or they feel that Tatum Bethune, because, he still is a raw prospect, especially in terms of the pass coverage, maybe they feel that they can pass him through to the practice squad. But that's what the linebacker situation is looking like. Bethune led this team yesterday with 9 combined tackles and 6 solo tackles. And I do have to say that they had Devondre Campbell play a little bit at the start, and, there's been reports, and most of them have come from me regarding Devondre Campbell, that he's actually been moving fairly well for the 49ers. He's on the wrong side of 30 now, but there was that one practice where he was all over Christian McCaffrey on the wheel route. We also saw him on a receiver a little bit later in camp. I thought that he was moving fine in the short amount of time yesterday. How about the tackle for loss from Jair Brown? I mean, he just completely shed the block from Chris Olave yesterday, receiver out of Ohio State, and Jair Brown was coming downhill, and it made you appreciate a couple things, right? You look at 49ers receivers, and they typically are able to put a hat on a hat when a safety is coming downhill, which is why the 49ers have had a top-ranked run game consistently. The receivers can block. They have to buy in. Chris Olave for the Saints had to get a hat on Jair Brown's hat yesterday, and he didn't early on. And Jair Brown just rifled into the backfield super, super impressive stop. I think it's been a really good camp for Jair Brown. And, when you look at, where the 49ers are at in the defensive backfield, Jair gave one of the better quotes in my article yesterday. I wrote about Malik Mustafa and Renardo Green. Remember that Jair Brown, when he joined the 49ers last season, might have been the most mature rookie that they've had in the Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch era. Well, Jair had a quote about Malik and Renardo Green that I'll read to you right now. "I like them," he said. "They're very mature. I think that's what we do a great job of, bringing in mature guys. Everyone in the back on defense, everybody in the locker room, honestly, mature guys. So I like that from them. I like their attention to detail, their work ethic, and they bring a lot to the table as far as athletic ability and their passion and how they bring it to the game." So consider this from the big picture. One season, the 49ers bring in Jair Brown, very buttoned up, mature guy, is able to contribute immediately as a rookie, and then delivers an interception to Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, and he's looking like the future at that safety position. The very next draft class, the 49ers bring in Malik Mustafa, who's up on the screen, and they bring in Renardo Green out of Florida State, Tatum Bethune's teammate, by the way. Renardo had a really nice pass breakup yesterday on a Derek Carr pass. Carr left it just a little bit too far inside. He needed to put that closer to the sideline. But if you go put on the tape, and I did this morning, it was a textbook press man coverage play in single coverage from Renardo Green. So you've got Renardo Green delivering for the 49ers already. You've got Malik Mustafa delivering, and you have Jair Brown lauding both of these guys for their maturity. And Jair Brown was a very, very mature rookie in his own right. So there you have three defensive backs plus Darrell Luter Jr., who got a slow start to his career because the bone bruise that kept him out of a half of last season. But Darrell Luter Jr., who sealed that game with a couple really, really nice plays yesterday at the cornerback position. That's four DBs, four young DBs for the 49ers who are showing, at the very least, the potential of a replenishment effort. And why do you need a replenishment effort? Well, take a look at the 49ers depth chart at the cornerback position. Charvarius Ward, Isaac Yadam, Diamara Lenore, Rock Yassin, all four of those veteran guys are only under contract for this season. So you're going to need somebody in the pipeline to rebuild this secondary moving forward. And Renardo Green is showing good early returns in that regard. Darrell Luter Jr. is showing good early returns in that regard. So is Malik Mustafa, and so is Jair Brown. It's the whole maturity thing for the 49ers. They've got some mature DBs, and you talk about, maturity. I think it's respecting your elders in the game, the guys that came before you. Take a look at this from Malik Mustafa. Wore a Ronnie Lott jersey to the game yesterday, and his quote about that Ronnie Lott jersey is, "It was a mentality thing coming into the game. Wearing a Ronnie Lott jersey for the first preseason home game of my NFL career. I just wanted to go out there with the right mindset to attack the game." Now, keep in mind that Mustafa, this is a guy who, after he was drafted, said that he's going to have to dust off the VHS tapes to watch some John Lynch. So he likes watching Hall of Fame safeties. Mustafa was born in 2002. Ronnie Lott's career ended in 1995. So this was 7 years after Lott's career ended. These guys are definitely before his time. Lynch, and he's mature enough too to poke a little bit of fun at John Lynch. They haven't had to dust off the VHS tapes to watch this guy. Obviously had to dust off the VHS tapes to watch Ronnie Lott. But he met Ronnie Lott early this week, has already been picking his brain, is wearing his jersey to the game. I mean, this is a guy that's a student of the game. We talk about maturity. I think that is a definite sign of it. So that's what I wrote about yesterday. One digit higher than Ronnie Lott, number 43, Malik Mustafa. And you could go check this out. I'm going to toss the article into the description for you and have Mike do that right now. You could subscribe to The Athletic and check it out. I just think there's a lot of cool pieces of intel that I'm able to gather when I'm around the team. I'm in the locker room of the maturity that these guys are showing. One cool nugget is that you've got Malik Mustafa and Renardo Green having some symbiosis that predates the 49ers drafting them. The 49ers picked these guys in late April, early May, right? But prior to the draft, Mustafa and Green were working together in South Florida. And they developed during their pre-draft workouts a little bit of a rapport that we've already seen on the field through 2 weeks, and also already seen on the field throughout the course of the offseason program. But there was the play I talked about in Tennessee where Malik Mustafa is barking from center field and getting Renardo Green into the right position. I asked Renardo about that. Renardo says that the opposite has also been true. Renardo has been alerting Malik Mustafa to when he needs to come over the top because he knows that a play is going to come in his direction. And cohesion for a secondary, any longtime 49ers fan remembers the 81 season, right? They remember when the 49ers had that young secondary with Ronnie Lott, by the way, as part of that secondary. They remember that was a bunch of young guys coalescing to turn into a great unit to augment Joe Montana, Dwight Clark, and that offense. So the fact that you hear Renardo Green and Malik Mustafa respect what's come before them, respect the integrity of the game, which involves communication on the back end for their position, I think is just a great, great sign for the 49ers as far as passing the torch in that secondary. So you can go ahead and check out the article. It's up on The Athletic. The 49ers are enjoying rookie maturity from Malik Mustafa and Renardo Green. Mike has put that article into the description, so go ahead and see that. How about Jacob Cowing yesterday? He's electric, and I've talked so much about the 15-mile-an-hour speed that he was able to generate in the NFL Combine on the 40-yard dash over the course of the first 5 yards. That's really fast, by the way, over the course of 5 yards. It's some real burst from Jacob Cowing. They ran the pump and go yesterday, and Josh Dobbs, he was on one yesterday. Josh Dobbs had himself an electric performance. I'll talk a little bit about the quarterback position, and I think the 49ers might actually carry 3 on the 53-man roster, but the pump and go is perfect for Jacob Cowing because he can accelerate so quickly. We saw the jet sweep a little bit later. But here's the thing about the receiver room. You need your punt returner to be a guy that is also an offensive contributor. The problem with Trent Taylor is I don't see him being a big offensive contributor for the 49ers, which is why I project Trent Taylor to be a practice squad guy. Gives you a high floor at punt returner, but I don't know what else he can give you in terms of upside on offense. We've seen the potential upside from Jacob Cowing ever since he came back from that hamstring injury, and you saw it on a couple plays. He ran a couple nice outs, which are more standard routes, which you need to do, but he also delivered on the pump and go. Great catch, great throw from Josh Dobbs, and the jet sweep. That was an electric play from Cowing. But it's the punt return work that, to me, was the most significant in the game yesterday. This is something that you might not have noticed, but the Saints were using 2 punters in the game yesterday. They're using a right-footed guy and a left-footed guy, and it's a challenge to field a punt from multiple different angles. So teams will often bring in a left-footed guy just to give their players a chance to field punts from that different trajectory in practice. So the 49ers got a great opportunity yesterday to try Jacob Cowing fielding punts from a right-footed punter and from a left-footed punter. And anybody who's been in the Bay Area knows, especially in the summer, especially around August, which it is right now, they'll know that 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., which is when this game was played yesterday, is going to offer some real wind gusts. This was not an easy day to field punts, but Jacob Cowing was back there fielding punts off a left-footed punter and a right-footed punter, a windy time, right? Late afternoon and dusk. And he showed zero problem doing that. So I've always said that floor is going to be more important than ceiling at the punt return position. And if Jacob Cowing can continue to show a nice floor, which I think he has so far in these games for the 49ers, last time I saw him drop a punt in practice was rookie minicamp right after he got drafted. So if he can continue to show a nice floor, I think that you could safely put Jacob Cowing on the inside of this roster picture. And, what I'm going to do immediately right now, I think that Trent Taylor is probably going to be that practice squad guy for the 49ers. He didn't muff a single punt over his first stretch with San Francisco, Trent Taylor. And I think that he still brings that same reliability to the team. But I don't think that he is going to be a 53-man roster guy, especially, there was some separation issues for the 49ers receivers yesterday. And Trent Taylor was obviously one of them. I think that your best 6 at wide receiver for San Francisco are Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, Jacob Cowing. And then if you can have that 6th spot for Chris Conley, the team really benefits, because what happens here is you get 2 prime special teams contribution spots, and maybe even 3 if Deebo Samuel is your kick returner with the new rules, but you get 2 prime special teams contribution spots with Cowing as the punt returner and Chris Conley as the gunner. He was an excellent gunner in the Super Bowl for the 49ers, and he's also a great backup X receiver to Brandon Ayuk. So I think that works really, really well for the 49ers. I think that's your best 6 at wide receiver, and I think that began to crystallize with the game yesterday. All right, I'm about 10 minutes away from a radio interview, so we got to get through the rest of this stock up, stock down. Went through Jair, Jacob Cowing, Curtis Robinson. Is Curtis Robinson making a play for a 49ers depth linebacker spot? I think he's probably still in a similar situation as he has been recently for the 49ers, and that's a guy with really good special teams floor who you feel better and better about if you do have to go into your depth at linebacker, if he does have to play at that 3rd linebacker spot. But good recognition yesterday. He had a tackle for loss. He had a nice rush on the quarterback where he put his hands up and was able to knock the ball away. I think that was Spencer Rattler still in the game for the Saints. It might have been Hayner, but it was Curtis Robinson making a nice play. Samuel Womack, it's going to be tough. We talked about Ambry Thomas before, and we talk about how deep this 49ers cornerback room is. Could scroll down to them right here. I don't have Ambry making the team, although they could use an IR designation for him now at the cut down because he has the broken forearm and is expected to miss about half the season. But in a similar boat as Ambry Thomas is Samuel Womack, who was once the darling of the preseason back in 2021, coming out of Toledo when he was playing that slot corner position. He gave up the 3rd down catch to Bub Means yesterday, where he gave up pretty easy outside leverage and Derek Carr picked on him. It's hard to see Womack making this team when it's so crowded in front of him. So I'd say stock down for that. Then we move on to the tight end position. We could scroll up here. Look, there is an open spot because the 49ers have typically carried 4 tight ends. Who's going to grab that open spot? They've already cut Logan Thomas. Kittle is in. Saubert's in. Braden Willis is in. Braden Willis was playing most of the game yesterday. Made the catch from Brock Purdy, and then he made a catch from Tanner Mordecai. He's the only guy that can say that since he played all 4 quarters. I think that Cam Latu is still a very interesting player. A lot of people have written him off. He made a few catches yesterday. The hands have definitely gotten better over last year, but they're still not good. He still dropped the pass yesterday. But the way that Cam Latu is built suggests that he might be a better blocker than Braden Willis. And they struggled blocking with Braden Willis early in the game. I wouldn't be shocked if Cam Latu grabbed that 4th tight end spot for the 49ers. Somebody like Mason Pline is probably better suited for the practice squad spot. And you know what? I also wouldn't be surprised if Jake Tonjes found a way to stick around. All I know is that the 49ers have 4 tight end spots that they've typically allocated for the 53-man roster. And the 4th tight end spot is still up for grabs right now for the 49ers. Tonjes has made a couple catches for San Francisco. Cam Latu has made a couple catches, but if you just look at the way that Latu is built relative to other tight ends, he's got a thicker neck. He's more suited to be the blocker that the 49ers need. And if they like the way that he blocks and they've seen improvement from the way that he catches, if his hands have gotten better, well, don't be surprised if Cam Latu sticks in the building, maybe in that final 49ers spot. Alex Barrett, got to talk about him. Alex Barrett deserves some love. I'm all about showing you guys how the workings of the 49ers building develop over the course of the years. And Alex Barrett's been around since 2019. That's a long time, especially in NFL years. He's one of the longest tenured 49ers. This is a defensive end who had an amazing strip sack yesterday. I thought that was a quality play against Spencer Rattler. Bringing him down to the ground. Obviously, he wins in his pass rush, and then he's bringing Rattler down to the ground. And as he does it, he's able to rip the ball away and recover the fumble that he forced. But Barrett's been a practice squad defensive end. Obviously, a limited ceiling, but a hard worker. And, every single body in that building, especially over the course of the regular season, is important. Teams have to battle through attrition. Teams need reps at practice. And Alex Barrett has given the 49ers a good scout team look. He's impressed them enough to keep him around over those years. And he's not getting a lot of credit for it. But, this is one of the gladiators that they have in that building. And this is his time of the year to shine. It's the preseason. He's probably going to be back on that practice squad again just because he's a trusted agent for the 49ers. And I do think I'd be remiss. I don't think a lot of other shows, a lot of other tweets are talking about Alex Barrett. But there's a human aspect to what happens in the building. And the 49ers have been such a successful team since that 2019 season. And a guy that's been in the building ever since then, mostly on the practice squad, has been Alex Barrett. So arrow up for a guy who's a really good player for the San Francisco 49ers. Moving on, Ronnie Bell. I think, I have to stay stock down for Ronnie Bell. It seems like every catch with Ronnie Bell is a little bobbled. Like there haven't been many clean catches. Now, I'll give him credit. He's made a lot of contested catches over the course of camp where he's climbed the ladder and it's been a tough catch and he's made the football, but nothing seems routine and nothing seems easy. And that includes his work as punt returner, and that dates back to last year. When we talk about building that receiver room, who fits into this group of 6 for the 49ers in the receiver room, you've got to give some special teams adaptability to justify taking up that roster spot. That's what Jacob Cowing is doing with the successful day in punt returns against both a left-footed and a right-footed punter on a windy afternoon at Levi Stadium. I don't remember the same from Ronnie Bell. I haven't seen the same from Ronnie Bell at practice. So this is going to be tough for Ronnie Bell to make this team. Obviously, we're going to have to see how things shake out over the course of this last week. There's still one more game. There could still be injuries. The 49ers have obviously had a lot of minor injuries. They've generally avoided the major ones, but they're going to circle the wagons after this game against the Raiders and determine how this is going to work. How about Matt Breida yesterday? I would say stock up. I think he's still got some juice. What is Breida? 29 years old now. He's much older than he was back when he was a very good, fast running back for the outside zone for the 49ers in his first stint with the team. So, and then they traded him for a 5th round pick. I think Matt Breida still got some juice. And that leads me right to Josh Dobbs. And listen, we'll talk more about the quarterback position. I think we need a dedicated video for this. I think the 49ers might take 3 on the 53. And if they like Mordecai, who might have the strongest arm out of all of them, then they could keep him around on the practice squad. There's nothing wrong with stockpiling assets at the game's most important position at quarterback. The 49ers know this better than anybody. Brock Purdy stayed with this football team in 2022, and they're very happy that they're able to stockpile assets in that quarterback room. So somebody like Mordecai, I don't think is as far along as Brock Purdy was in 22, but he was on time with most of his throws yesterday. I didn't like that one that almost turned into a pick 6, but he throws a tight spiral. It ran under a 4.5 40, which you can't ignore because you saw Josh Dobbs running around. It's nice to have that expandability in your quarterback depth. And when we talk about Dobbs to Breida, there was that one play when, and this is more impressive to me than any of the runs, and it's going to be more impressive and important to Kyle Shanahan than any of the runs. And those were fun to watch. I love Mark Sanchez's air tag comment, put an air tag on that guy because he's running around all of the field. But they're bringing heavy blitz in the 2-minute drill against Josh Dobbs, and it's overloaded on the right side. And one thing that you look to for quarterbacks if they're trying to showcase how well they know the offense is how quickly do you identify your hot read, right? And Matt Breida Josh Dobbs identified the hot read to Matt Breida very, very quickly. And the hot read is where do you throw to where the blitz came from? Because the blitz is going to be unblocked. So throw to that side of the field, throw into the teeth of the blitz because that receiver is probably going to be uncovered. You bring the linebacker off of that side of the field, That means that linebacker is not directly covering Matt Breida coming out of the backfield. It means the inside linebacker is having to run across half the field to get to Matt Breida. And remember, football fields are over 53 yards wide. That definitely gave room to Matt Breida, who we know is fast, and Josh Dobbs put that ball in the money. That was one of the most impressive throws from Josh Dobbs. The pump and go to Cowing was obviously really good stuff too. But the stuff where he's on time and he's accurate in the face of a blitz, he's following the progressions right, that's going to mean a whole lot more than anything that he's doing running around. And the running around is a great bonus, but they're going to determine this QB2 battle between Josh Dobbs and Brandon Allen based on the stuff I'm talking about. And I thought Allen was good yesterday too. In fact, maybe the best throw of the day was Brandon Allen throwing to Ronnie Bell. Ronnie Bell's on a deep out. Brandon Allen is buying time. Ronnie Bell is not open on the deep out, so Brandon Allen throws him open on an improvised up coming off the out, a go ball coming off the out. Ronnie Bell couldn't hang on to the football. Would have been a great catch, but it was a perfect throw, and it was great improvisation, great adjustment from Brandon Allen. That kind of stuff doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but that's the kind of stuff that he does really well. By the way, what was really eye-opening to me was the Houdini act yesterday from Brandon Allen, where he kind of ducked under the pass rusher coming over from the right side of the formation, and he was able to step away and make a throw downfield. So 49ers backup quarterback situation, I think, is looking a lot more promising, much more promising than it was early in camp. Now, they weren't able to re-sign Sam Darnold. He went for $10 million. He's going to be a starter now with Minnesota. So we thought that might be a downgrade. They're blessed to have Sam Darnold last year, but it looks like they're really developing that backup QB room between Brandon Allen and Josh Dobbs well, and obviously Tanner Mordecai is there too. And you know what? When you have Brock Purdy on your team, that's an asset. Being in the same quarterback room as an MVP finalist, that helps guys. And they've got a great quarterbacks coach in Brian Greasy as well. When they call me from KMBR, you guys can tune into KMBR right when we're done here. I'm going to be live with Greg Papa. So as soon as they call me from KMBR, I'm going to be signing off. We're going to be posting the KMBR audio as well, so you can listen to that. But you can go stream KMBR live, do a little cross promotion with KMBR. So this show's going to end as soon as that happens, but I'm going to stick with you guys until the very bitter end here. I'm waiting for their call. As you can see, we've got the phone is it's 11:32. They're supposed to call at 11:30, but it's okay. I could stay with you guys for a little bit longer until they do call me. I already mentioned Jalen Graham. I mentioned the quarterbacks. I think we went through everybody. You know what? I could open this up to a 49ers Q&A until KMBR gives me the call. Happy. I was able to squeeze everything in there in good, timely fashion. So let's get these questions up. I'll answer as many as I can. They're literally going to call me in any second, though, so you guys better hurry with the questions. What's my read on Mason Pline? I think that Mason Pline is going to be a practice squad guy for the 49ers. He downed a punt yesterday on special teams. I mean, that's a good contribution. The thing with Mason Pline is that, I mean, he was a college basketball player exclusively up until 2 years ago. So the really, really raw talent. And it's somebody that's intriguing because of what he's been able to accomplish in such a short time on the football field. Also has moved up from a lower level of college football, but I don't think that he's going to be 53-man roster ready. I think he's an ideal guy to continue developing on the practice squad. He's got serious size. All right, they've got some big tight ends now. They make Kittle look short. Mason Pline at about 6'7". When do I expect Huff to come back in the picture? This week, I would expect Hufanga, Ricky Pearsall, Isaac Guerendo, all those guys to start really working back into the picture this week. Now, Hufanga might be just doing stuff on the side, so it might be another week before he's back at practice. But I think the 49ers want Pearsall and they want Guerendo to take some snaps in the game against the Raiders on Friday, the preseason finale. Can Dobbs be consistently good? Well, Dobbs is a backup. That's why he's here. The Brock Purdy is the consistently good 49ers starter. They're looking for a QB2. Generally, if it goes to QB2, your season's in trouble if it has to go to that QB2 for a prolonged period of time. So I don't think that's really the operative question with Josh Dobbs. I think the operative question is, can these guys fill in for Brock Purdy for the shorter term if that's needed? And so far, the arrows have been up for both Josh Dobbs and Brandon Allen. Any chance that Green gets some playing time early in the season? I think if guys get hurt, then yes. I don't think you want that if you're the 49ers. I think you'd rather have guys healthy. I think you'd rather have Lenore, Charvarius Ward, Isaac Yadam healthy. But, I mean, as we've seen, Yadam's already dealing with an ankle. Who's the next man up at cornerback? Is it going to be Rock Yassin, or are they going to go to Renardo Green? I think Renardo Green continues impressing more and more. So there's a chance that he sees time. In an ideal world, I think the 49ers ride their veterans this year. And then you see the young guys really, really start to filter in next season because all these veterans are only on one-year deals, and it's very, very unlikely the 49ers are able to re-sign all of them. You know who else was good was Presley Harvin III, the punter. All right, so I don't know where Wishnowski will start, but I got to pick up the phone. Cam Beer's calling. Tune in, live stream. I'll see you guys later.